The Turks and Caicos Islands, which is located on the southernmost tip of the Atlantic Ocean, is one of the fastest emerging tourist destinations in the world. Other than being a tourist hotspot, education is a key feature of these islands. And as such, distance education plays an important role in these islands' development. Particularly because of the geographic location of these islands, distance education provides students with the opportunity to pursue higher education. Three of our dynamic leaders in the field of education will be sharing with us their views on the pros and cons of distance education in the Turks and Caicos Island. Mrs. Beatrice Fulford is the Director of Education. Miss Katie Miles is the Education Officer for the Literacy Program. And Mr. Thomas Joyner is our Education Psychologist.
I am currently enrolled in the doctoral program with the University of Bristol in England, and I have found my experience to be challenging but enjoyable at the same time. My program required me to attend on-site classes 3 days in a week to complete an entire course. However, I was required to prepare all my assignments, submit the assignments, and obtain feedback from my tutors online. And I think I have managed that quite well. I think distance education has a number of advantages. I think when you are operating in a small state like the Turks and Caicos Islands, where you do not have post-secondary or not a large number of post-secondary institutions, it is convenient when you can access higher education at a distance. Moreover, it is very flexible. It is flexible in the sense that you can work around your own time. And I think for me this has been particularly good because I wasn't able to get time off from my work. And in small states, a number of persons would find that professionals are multifunctional, which means that it is more difficult to release them for any extended period. Distance education has been seen as very affordable. And in my case, it has been affordable because I did not really have to think about finding monies for accommodation whilst in the UK. Having said that, I think we need to recognize that there are some disadvantages, and it's going to be left entirely to the student to decide, if the cons outweigh the pros. Some people do not value, and when I say some people, I'm talking about maybe employers who do not value certification through distance education. And I think they tend to believe that the reputation of distance education is questionable. I do not believe so. Distance education requires the student to retool himself or herself technologically. Some students really thrive on having that kind of social interaction with their peers. And when you're working in isolation, maybe behind closed doors with just a computer, the level of social interaction that you would want to have is not there. The student needs to be well disciplined. And if you're not disciplined, it means that probably halfway, a quarter way, halfway, three-quarters way through the program, you find that you are not really keeping up with deadlines, you are lagging behind, and in two-twos, the time allotted for the program would have already elapsed. You have to be committed, you have to know exactly why you are doing the program, and you have to probably plan very carefully.
Distance education is of particular significance to the Turks and Caicos Islands, given the geography of the islands and the fact that there is only one tertiary institution, which at this time offers associate degrees. Distance education, of course, has many advantages. I think most significantly for the students who are here, or for the persons who wish to study, is the fact that they can study from home. They can access information in the comfort of their homes rather than traveling to one central location, which would prove particularly expensive. You know, traveling, say, from North Caicos to Providenciales or Grand Turk for formal classes. It also means that they can, there is some kind of flexibility in the time when they're going to study. They can study in the lunchtime, they can study after work, you know, they can study late at night. With distance education, there's some degree of the program being customized to suit the students, where they are, and what they really want. So that in itself would also be an advantage. Another advantage of distance education as it relates to the Turks and Caicos Islands is the equity that it would provide. Students from all the islands will receive the same kind of instruction, and it therefore wouldn't be colored by, you know, the teacher or the lecturer or anything, you know, that would change the content of the material. I think perhaps the disadvantage of distance education, the most glaring one, is the lack of person-to-person contact. Because although people can chat online, you're still not getting that great interface that you would want, or that you could have when people meet together in a group.
Good afternoon. When one speaks of distance learning, one usually thinks of e-learning or online learning. But regardless of the format, it offers certain distinct advantages both to the student and to the institution. Foremost is that it does not limit either the institution or the student to geographical considerations. Also, distance learning allows the student to have more interaction with the learning environment through chat rooms and or discussion panels. And this expands the student's learning experiences. Distance learning courses, unlike traditional schools, bring the school to the student, whereas traditional schools rely on the student coming to the school. One of the major disadvantages of distance learning, on the other hand, is that it relies heavily on student honesty, much more heavily than the traditional classroom, especially for assessments. The temptation is great for students to rely or to ask a friend or family member or co-worker with expertise in a subject matter to do his or her assignments and then to submit it as their own, thus making the whole assessment process less than valid. So in sum, distance education has its pros and its cons. Certainly it is an advantage to some students and it offers certain major advantages as I discussed earlier. However, it is not a panacea, nor is it for all students, as I pointed out in some of the cons that we have. However, on balance, I believe that distance learning offers certain distinct advantages for many students, especially those students in the West Indies.
Having listened to the views expressed by our education leaders, it is clear that employers can use distance education to train their employees here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. However, not only the adult population should benefit from distance education opportunities, but also students at the elementary, high school, and community college levels. Already, some of the basic infrastructures are in place. At the elementary level, students could participate more in collaborative activities and interact with other children across the world. Students at the high school and community college levels could pursue courses that are not available on these islands at their own pace and in the convenience of their homes. They would not have to worry about commuting to classes daily or weekly. This could eliminate the hassle of obtaining student visas and the expense of airline tickets to return to these islands. However, Being in a third world environment, access to computers may be difficult on the part of some students. And as a result, these students would be at a grave disadvantage where distance education is concerned. Overall, the pros of distance education seem to outweigh the cons. And so, if this approach to education is successfully implemented at all levels in the education sector here in the Turks and Caicos Islands, students would benefit tremendously.